counting down the top 10 songs from the most iconic musicals of all time. From show-stopping ballads to toe-tapping anthems, these songs have captivated audiences and stood the test of time. Whether you're a seasoned theatre-goer or new to the world of musicals, join us as we explore the stories behind these unforgettable tunes and celebrate the brilliance of Broadway and the West End. First, here are 10 musical facts. In Singing in the Rain, the script was written after the songs, and so the writers had to generate a plot into which the songs would fit. Les Mis is categorised as a sung-through musical. Unlike most musicals, which alternate between singing and spoken dialogue, sung-through musicals have very few spoken lines. If the spoken lines were eliminated altogether, it would be an operetta. For the movie, movie version of Cats in 2019, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote to a Universal studio executive a year before the film's release, saying, "You've got a car crash on your hands unless you get a grip of this thing." He never got a reply. Hamilton took Lin-Manuel Miranda 6 years to write. In Hairspray, Aretha Franklin auditioned for the role of Motormouth Maybelle, but lost out to Queen Latifah. The cost of 1956 The King and I was 10 times more than that of the original lavish Broadway production. In The Sound of Music, Julie Andrews sang Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious to the children in the cast to entertain them between shooting. Since Mary Poppins hadn't yet been released, the children thought she just made it up for them. Somewhere That's Green from Little Shop of Horrors later inspired part of your world in The Little Mermaid. Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote Joseph as an Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat when he was 17. Tim Rice was 21-year-old law student. And finally, Elvis Presley turned down the role of the guardian angel in the beauty school dropout scene in Grease. When Alan Carr first bought the movie rights, he envisioned Elvis as Danny and Anne Margaret as Sandy. And I'm sure that's not the comedian Alan Carr, because that would be really weird if it is.
No.
Now, I've read all those because I've got those from the internet, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure that our guests are going through those going, well, that's not true, that's not true, that's not right. So please, can you welcome Tim and LJ from the Musical Lyrical Lingo podcast? Yay!
Wow. They were brilliant.
Did you know? I didn't. I was going to say, did you know them or did you not know them? Because it's the internet. I could have just written any old crap and it could have, you know... And it's fine if I'm talking to, and I'm not saying that any of our listeners are idiots, but, you know, they might go, oh really? Okay, yeah. You guys are, you guys are musical experts, and you might be going, well, that's the biggest little crap I've ever heard in my life. So do you think they sounded okay?
They were amazing. Yeah. I can't believe they overlooked Aretha Franklin in Hairspray and went with Queen Latifah instead. That's insane.
It is crazy, isn't it? That was the one I thought to myself that you guys would be able to say to me, well, that actually isn't true. Aretha Franklin was nowhere near it.
Might not be true, but listen, it sounds like a wild fact.
Yeah. But there you go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, please welcome LJ and Tim from the Musical Lyrical Lingo podcast. Before we start anything, where did the title for your podcast come from? Because it's a bugger to say. It really is.
Yes. It is. And it's not something that we really thought about. I think whenever we were first coming up with like a catchy name, we didn't realize that we would have to continually say it and other people would have to say it. And whenever you're trying to maybe get, Alexa to say it, it's a nightmare. So I think the whole idea of the podcast is looking at musicals and what they've taught us, but we wanted to really look at the lyrics. So we knew that lyrical word would be nice. And obviously we're talking about musicals, and then lingo. It just
LJ keeps giving off to me because I have slight fear with their intro, but it's because of musical lyrical lingo, like having to say it every single episode. I do blame LJ because I think you came up with the title, didn't you?
No, you see, this is where
I think she did.
No, I'm pretty sure I came up with musical lingo, and you added in the lyrical bit. So I think it was it was you were the full
This
thing.
is us all over. I am so sorry.
Like I said before we started recording, I'm going to really enjoy the quiz because you're already arguing already, and we haven't even asked a question yet. Oh my God, it's going to be great.
LJ is the most competitive friend I have.
No, that's not true.
It's not going to end well.
And the other thing is that the people that aren't watching this on YouTube, you're in the same room as well, so you can physically fight if you need to, which is going to be great.
Yeah. Now, she's vicious.
How can a face that cherubic and angelic be like that? I don't believe that for a second. I was talking about LJ, Tim, not. Now, we're doing top 10 songs from musicals, and we did have a stipulation before, which after one of your messages, I believe that you might be breaking, that we were not going to go anywhere near Disney. Yeah. Because that is a whole section. We've already done sort of Disney songs as a top 10. We've already done musicals. So anybody that knows me knows really what my top 10 is going to consist of in regards to a certain musical. So we'll get to that point when we get to it. But everyone who knows me will know sort of basically what my number one. Or anyway, let's not ruin it. But so you guys have done a top 10 between yourselves, haven't you? Which again, after seeing you after 5 minutes, this is going to be a nightmare because how you've managed to work out a top 10 between you. How did you do it?
You do not understand what you've done. As you see, coming up with a list of top 10. Between the two of us, it was war. And
well, I mean, it was war, but I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't a horrendous war. It's just my suggestions were great.
Yeah,
and Timothy's were okay.
There was a bit of compromise to do, to be quite honest with you. And you get to a certain point with LJ where you just have to accept defeat sometimes and go, right, okay, fine.
I was going to say, is it the sort of compromise when you're having a compromise with a lady that the lady always wins? That's the sort of compromise. Being married 30 years, I kind of understand that you compromise to a point and then the lady always wins. So it's just a thing you get used to, Tim, isn't it?
Or LJ will just break your legs, so you just go, okay, fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, saying that, I think the top 10 that we have, I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
you know, there are maybe a few that maybe wouldn't have quite crept into my top 10, but they're up there. Do you know what I mean? They're just about missing out. So no, I think we've got a solid for two musical theatre fans. We've got a solid list.
Yeah.
You know, in our podcast, we always have a standing ovation for, you know, each week we would choose a different musical. And at the end of the episode, we have a standing ovation, which is normally a song from that show. So
right.
We're 2 seasons in now, 48 episodes, you know, 48 different musicals, and to have 48 different standing ovations, I think we've done quite well to get it into top 10.
I mean, and I think what helped was we went away, which we always do. We always go away, do our research separately, but we created like a top 10 list separately. And then we came together and we were like allowed to sort of veto. You know, there was like maybe one song where Timothy was like, no, that is not going anywhere near my top 10. You know, and I was able to sort of do the same for him. So that kind of worked. But yeah, no, we are happy with this top 10. If it was on an individual basis, it probably would differ slightly, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think for any musical theatre fan to come up with the top 10 is difficult anyway, because you're like, how can I pick 10? Do you know?
Like I said in the intro, with musicals, there are so many songs that for decades have been iconic songs. I've got one in my top 10 that I've never seen the musical, but I know this song. It's part of my DNA. This song. Yeah. So it's weird how songs have been repurposed and some songs that people really love probably don't even realize that they've come from a musical or they were born from a musical. So and especially, I mean, when you take away, when we first said we're not going to do Disney, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to struggle because I love Disney animated musicals. But then I thought to myself, no, actually, there are so many great musicals that I love. Again, I said to you before we started recording, mine's very basic. I have a very basic love for musicals. I am not going to go listening to your podcast where you go into in-depth about musicals I've never heard of before. And then even with some of our honourable mentions, there are musicals I've never heard of before. But I'm really interested. Before we carry on, actually, we've got to do Lisa's challenge as well.
Lisa's challenge.
What the fuck are you saying?
So basically, with this, we need to try and guess how many duplicates we're going to have in our top 10. So how many you think you're going to have in yours that I'll have in mine. So out of 10, what do you reckon? And then we'll see at the end, and we'll see who's got the nearest.
Okay, I'm going to go low, and I'm going to maybe say 2, because looking at the musicals that we have, if you have a basic knowledge, then you might not have some of these.
Okay. Tim, what do you reckon?
I feel like I have to go really different from you, because I was going to originally say 3, but let's go 50-50. I'll say 5.
Oh, okay, right. I'm going to say 1 because I've got absolutely no faith in the fact that we're going to have anything the same, and we might just sneak. I might just sneak one. We might, but who knows? Should we kick off? Should we go?
Yeah.
I say kick off. It is going to kick off. I feel it's going to really kick off. Okay, then, guys, give us your number 10.
Our number 10 is If I Love You from the musical Carousel.
Okay, right. Now,
have you heard of that one?
I've heard of the movie Carousel. I will see if I can find the songs, and we'll play them underneath as we're talking. So, first of all, tell me about Carousel.
So, Carousel was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein. So those are two really big composer and lyricists of the musical theatre world. It opened in Broadway in 1945 and then opened in the West End in 1950. It won the Olivier Award for Best Musical Revival in 1992, and then won the Tony Award for Best Revival in 1994.
Yep, and most people probably know it because of the 1956 film, which came out and was one of those MGM sort of golden movies. So
it's basically a love story. It follows, Julie, who falls in love with Billy Bigelow. Billy Bigelow isn't really the most impressive character. It's not the type of guy you'd want to fall in love with, but there's something quite sweet about that kind of relationship, and actually she brings out the best in him. But then he dies, like most people in musicals. Someone always dies, doesn't it? And there's a bit of heartbreak, and then a very strange dream sequence, which musicals like to do as well sometimes. Now, I wouldn't be a big fan of the Carousel dream ballet, but it's a beautiful love song. That's why it was in our top 10.
Okay, so is this a kind of musical that is still playing now?
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a classic, isn't it? And it seems to be that classics get revived every 6-7 years. I know Regent Park Open Air Theatre did a beautiful outdoor revival a couple of years ago, which was a real hit. But I think with shows like Carousel, they'll always come back around, at some point. And what's nice is the new take and the new visions that directors now start to have with shows like Carousel.
And I think as well, it does great on tour, because I suppose people who like Carousel in Oklahoma and those sort of old golden oldies, they're an aging population which maybe don't get into the West End anymore. So the fact that they go on tour, they'll probably be closer to their home, and that's why those shows will do well. And also Amdram, it's a great one for amateur dramatics to do. And the songs are great. And I suppose there's the most famous song from Carousel, You'll Never Walk Alone,
which was stolen by some football club.
Oh, don't get me started. I was talking about one that was in my DNA, and there's
okay.
I was going to say, so those kind of more traditional musicals, is there ever a worry that, because the fashion now seems to be the jukebox musicals, Is it that they'll go out of fashion and then get forgotten, or do you think they will always, even if it is some amateur dramatic society, will sort of roll up and do Carousel?
I think so. I think that there's definitely still life in them. They were so well written, and the songs are beautiful, and they can be listened to just as an album rather than needing to see it. So I think there's definitely life in it. But as Tim said, directors will find something new to do with it, and and maybe like cut a dream ballet, or enhance it in somehow, or maybe slightly change a character's name, which will maybe have a different meaning or whatever. But as you say, I think there's a cycle. It'll come around every now and again. And
I think recently there's been a real influx of revivals of those golden oldies. You see it with Oklahoma and Sunset Boulevard that's just left the West End to go to Broadway. I think there seems to be young and upcoming directors and producers that are like, no, let's take this and tackle it and do something really different with it. Now, some of the faithful musical theatre lovers don't like it because they're changing them too much. But as you said, I think if they're to continue and they're not to like disappear, something like that needs to be done with them. They need to be given some fresh legs.
Yeah, because that's, I suppose, another thing with the traditional ones is that you wouldn't want to change it too much, because the whole point of it lasting its decades in some cases is because of how it is and how it was. So I don't know. It's a bit of a, you got to try and work out what the best thing is for a specific musical. Yeah,
it's a healthy balance, isn't it?
You would hope so. So yes, we may be talking about Carousel a little bit later on with another song. But, but yeah. So my number 10. Now, the majority of mine are going to be because they are musicals that are movie musicals, or they're musicals that have been made into a movie from a stage musical. So I'm gone for Tomorrow from Annie. Now, I can't particularly say I love the musical Annie, but this is just a beautiful, it's one of those songs that there's a few comedy shows that I've watched, and all of a sudden they've started singing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, and I just think it's one of those beautiful songs. I think I remember watching the movie with Albert Finney, which I think was that the original Annie musical, I think, and then they did the remake with Jamie Foxx, didn't they, which I didn't watch. But as a song, I think it's just a beautiful tune, quite heartbreaking as well. It's just got that feeling of angst and hope, and don't get me started, you'll get me crying. So what do you guys think of this one? Oh, okay.
I mean, I think, and Tim will agree with me, Tim has been involved a lot more in youth productions, and it's one of those shows which is rolled out all the time. So it can become a song which gets on your nerves.
Yes, I can see that.
And whenever we were researching and doing our episode on Annie, Annie was, Tomorrow was only written as a bit of a filler. So it wasn't really meant to be this big, amazing song. And we kind of not fell in love with Annie again, but we had a little bit of a new respect for it whenever we did our episode. But it's okay. We've listened to it too many times. We've probably listened to too many children try and sing it, which is also
well, that's going to put you off it straight away, isn't it? I would assume.
That's my issue. I've heard too many horrendous renditions of it. But I think it's one of those ones, if you leave it long enough and then come back to it, you're right, there's something about it that does get you, and you're like, oh, actually it is lovely, it's sweet, and it's a nice song, especially if you've got a really good 10-year-old who's belting that final chorus out. It does give you bumps.
But like you say, with any child actor or child performer, it's on a knife edge as to whether it's going to be amazing or whether it's going to be ear grating and oh my god, what is that kind of thing. I suppose it'd be the same for any adult if they can't sing as well, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Give me children to work with in a musical any day over an adult, let me tell you. Because I've worked with both.
What about children? Which is your preferred one, children or adults, when you're an usher in a theatre? Because that was one of the episodes I listened to today. Or would you just like say no?
Neither.
Neither.
Front of house audiences in general. Hard work.
Okay, then let's have your number 9 then, please.
Okay, so this is Being Alive from the movie or the musical Company. So music and lyrics are by Stephen Sondheim. So it is a 1970s musical. It then had a revival in the Broadway and West End in 1995, and then a North America tour in 2023, most recently. It was nominated for 14 Tonys, which was amazing at the time, and it did end up winning 6.
Wow.
So there's no... It's I wouldn't say it's a feel-good musical. It's about a guy who is celebrating his birthday with a group of friends, and he's single, and he's just sort of contemplating life, really. And I think he's 35, so he feels like he should be, more. He should be better. He should have got a better job, career, all of that, a better partner. So Being Alive is just more of it's like a cry of help.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
We've all been there, haven't we? 35 going, what? What is going on with my life? It's what they call a concept musical. So there's no linear plot, really. It is about the main character, Bobby, and just his friends, or who all seem to be married as well. They all seem to be attached and he's not. And it's like, what is this? What is my life?
Yeah.
Who am I? What's my name? Thing.
So this is Sondheim, you said, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your expert opinions, who would you say is the greatest, say, out of Andrew Lloyd Webber, Sondheim, Rodgers and Hammerstein? Who would you say? Sondheim. Right. And what Sondheim. What is it about him?
The man is a genius. Absolutely a genius, musically, lyrically. And he also he seemed like a really, really nice person.
Mm-hmm.
There's a warmth to his work. There's a clever, like the finer details are just so intricate and clever. And he's if you look at all of his musicals, there's none that you can say are samey. Do you know what I mean? They're all really different. Whereas I think with some of those other big names that you've mentioned, there is kind of
you could tell who's done
sameness to their work. Whereas I think Sondheim, almost all of his musicals, there's Sondheim, because I don't know, there's just a certain, I don't know, feel to them, but they're so different in how they sound and their feel.
I heard somebody describe Sondheim as a modern day Shakespeare, and 100%. That's the only way that you can, if you take the music aside and read the lyrics, they are so clever. And the best one to start with for that would be Into the Woods. And the song that Little Red Riding Hood sings about people, they different, or nice is different from good, understanding people's characters and realizing that you're not the same once an experience has happened. And it's just, oh gosh, we could gush all night, but his lyrics are just fantastic and tell a story like no other.
So what are your thoughts on things like musicals becoming movies? Because Into the Woods was one of the ones that it seemed to get panned really. I mean, obviously Cats is another thing, but Into the Woods was one that seemed to really get panned when it was made into a movie, because I don't know whether it's the James Corden of it all. But where do you stand? Are you happy when you see a musical that you love being made into a movie, or do you think, oh God, they're gonna ruin it?
I really don't mind the Into the Woods film. I like it, but
I don't. I'm with you. I think I'm not a fan.
But I also like that musicals aren't always accessible. And there's a real issue at the moment with ticket prices. People can't afford to go, and that shouldn't be the case. So whenever things are made into a film, then it does bring a new audience to them and a new interest, and gives people an opportunity. No, they're not seeing it in its original format, and it's not how it was meant to be, but it hopefully will excite somebody into the musical theatre world. But I think I think what the problem is when musicals are made into films and they don't consult the writers, they don't consult the lyricists, they don't, that creative team that brought it to the stage. I think that's where the downfall is, and we know that that's what happened with Cats the musical, and it was terrible.
I've not watched it, I have to say, but and even with the fact that Taylor Swift is in it, I just haven't watched it. But there you go, it's just one of those things. Okay, so my number 9, I'm going for something we did this gentleman's top 10 of movies a few episodes ago now, but I'm going to go for Dentist from The Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, brilliant!
I'm a massive Steve Martin fan. Pretty much everything he's done, I just find just comedy genius when it's a comedy, basically. And this is such a great movie. It's got some great. I've never seen the musical, like the stage show, but every single song in this is great. But this one, where Steve Martin just goes off and has so much fun, and poor old Bill Murray is the is the patient and stuff. But I think we had this as in one of our top 10 comedy songs. I think whoever was doing it definitely had it in there. But yeah, he's just so good in this. I absolutely love Little Shop of Horrors. So, guys, what do you think?
Love it.
Yeah, same. And actually, there isn't a huge difference between the film and the musical. Actually, the musical tries to keep the style and the run of the film.
Oh, really?
Close. Yeah. So, as musical film connections go, it's probably one of the best ones. That kind of there isn't much of a difference between the two, because I think it has such a cult following, doesn't it? The film,
absolutely.
People who go to see it want to see the film on stage, and that's exactly what they give you.
Oh, right.
Certain of the productions that have been, up till now, that's exactly what they present on stage.
Kind of the same as Rocky Horror Show, then, because Rocky Horror Show, I've always felt the movie is kind of, you're just almost watching the stage show. With Rocky Horror, which is another great one. No, it didn't make any of my top 10, but okay, number 8 then, please.
Number 8 is the Cell Block Tango from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 6 merry murderesses of Cook County Jail, and they go through how they basically murdered and got rid of their significant others in wildly entertaining and interesting ways. All done with finger clicking, slick moves and singing. It's a fantastic actual probably a company number, isn't it? It's probably our first company number, isn't it? That hasn't been a solo or a duet. The music is by John Kander and the lyrics are by Fred Ebb. It opened in Broadway in 1975 and then the West End in 1979. It won the 1996 Tony for Best Revival and the 1997 Olivier for Outstanding Musical Production.
Yep.
And I love it.
See, this is why you're here. Look at the stats that we're getting. I mean, this is like Soccer Saturday, and you've got your panel there with all the stats of like how many performances, how many goals they've scored, what the XG is. This is fantastic. You should be on every episode of our podcast, like sat in the corner like Stato, so we can just go over. Right, oh guys, what's the stats about that? It's fantastic.
Love that.
So for you two guys, as people, what kind of have you both been in musicals?
Yeah. So we know each other basically through musical theatre. We joined the same stage school. Lauren was already there at the age of
4.
And I joined at 5. Lauren likes to always make it clear that she was there first.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how we kind of met, and we just got really friendly. We ended up then going to the same school as each other, and we've just been in each other's lives ever since through that. And it started through that love of singing, dancing, and musical theatre, really.
And what's been the favourite role or the favourite musical you've both been in?
Together or separately?
Well, I mean, separately and together.
Oh, it's so hard. Like, like when we were growing up, we would have like done, because we would have gone to nursing homes and the opening of envelopes and everything. So like we just
No
performed
exaggeration.
constantly. Like, you know, at times we were out hoofing. That means dancing for anyone who doesn't know, like three times a week. Do you know what I mean? Like a different thing. So it's really hard. I did love our Wizard of Oz that we did together. I really enjoyed that. I played the Cowardly Lion and you were
the
wizard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And LJ, you weren't 4 years old when you did that, though, were you? You were a bit older. No, that's okay.
A bit older.
That would have been amazing if they pulled the rope back from the curtain back, and there's the wizard 4 years old. That'd have been amazing. So what would you say is each of yours? So LJ, you say about Tim. What's his strength as a performer? And then
my goodness,
Tim, you say about LJ.
Timothy is so captivating, especially if it's a role that he has really like got his teeth into. So I would say more like comical roles would be really good for him. But he's so captivating. He can like demand a stage like no other, and he's so respectful of his other actors on stage, and he makes you better because you want to like pull off that performance.
It's the nicest thing she's ever said to me.
And we've got it on film and we've got it on audio. So I mean, look at that.
I'm gonna say that on loop.
Be your ringtone now.
Lauren is the definition of actress. She is probably one of the best actresses I know. The depth she goes to, wow. I definitely think straight. The straighter the role is for her, the more she shines. But like she delves deeper into the role she plays than anyone else I know. And I'm just waiting for Lauren's like one woman like play, because it will be like, and preferably if you're multi-rolling, I think she needs to multi-roll throughout so that we see her taking loads of different characters. Yeah, I mean, like it's split burst personality anyway. It's not going to take a huge amount of effort, but no, she's one of the best actresses that I know. Like, because she's proper good. So she is.
Like, yeah, you're so sweet.
I tell you what, there was me thinking that we were going to be splitting you apart, and we're just pushing you more and more together. Look.
There's still time.
There's still there's still the quiz to come, so don't worry. Okay, so that was your number 8. My number 8. Now I'm going for one of these what do they call them? The jukebox musicals. But it was a movie. Excuse me. It was a movie that I absolutely love. So it is from Moulin Rouge, and I'm going to go for Your Song, which is the now I remember when this movie came out and everyone was having a go at Ewan McGregor, saying that his voice wasn't particularly good. I think he absolutely belts this song out. It's an amazing version of a song that everybody has listened to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of times, and they somehow made it seem even more epic than it was. It starts off nice and slow but finishes very operatic. I love the way this song builds. There are other songs I could have chosen from Moulin Rouge, Come What May. The Elephant Love medley is just great. What I love about it is my kids, my daughters especially, loved Moulin Rouge because I watched it all the time. And it was the fact that they know how the Elephant Love medley, they can sing it back to me. And it was when they heard the actual songs, they went, that's from the Elephant Love medley. They hear the whole song. And it's the same as any, I'm going to sound like an old fart now, it's like any kids, when they hear a song and then they hear the original, they think that the song they've heard is the original. Until I go, no, that was out like in the 80s. No, never. And you kind of then you take ownership back of it again. You know, it's like, no, that's my song, but you're only borrowing it because somebody else has copied it. But my daughters, 2 of my daughters went to see the musical, the stage show, and they were really disappointed. They were they nearly left at halftime because it wasn't exactly like the musical, like the movie, which they absolutely adore. So I seem to get a more favourable response from you about this. So do you like Moulin Rouge?
Yeah, I love it. I think what the film did of its time was really different. Like because I don't really remember other movies before that, like taking different songs from different artists and putting them together and making them sound so different. Like
Yeah.
the work that was done to your song, yes, it was still the same song, but it sounded so different and
Changed
bigger
so
and
many.
more
Yeah.
and I actually enjoyed the musical that's in the West End at the moment. I think when you go into that theater, it's like you've been plunked into the film. Like they've got the big
Right.
massive elephants and it looks sensational. I think maybe they were trying to update it and keep it relevant for today's audiences by having the songs from the film, but then throwing in like a Lady Gaga track. And
That's right. I think something like Take On Me was on there, and like my daughters were going, that's not in the film. No, I'm not having that. They wanted just the songs that were in the film. And like you say, it just means it shakes it up a little bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe because the Americans got to it before the British got to it. I'm not so sure if it had been, it had been a British musical, but then transferred to America if they'd have put those new songs in. But maybe that's unfair of me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
LJ?
and I think I haven't seen it on stage, and I love the movie. So whenever I listened to the cast recording, I was a little like, oh no, I wanted them just to sort of take the movie and put it on stage, but it was only after Tim had seen it and explained it and said, but it's updated.
Yeah.
They've tried to use, and I suppose do what they did for us whenever we were teenagers, whenever the movie came out. Try and make it a little bit more fresh and connect with the audience that hopefully we're going to go and see it. So I would still be intrigued. I want to go and see it, but I think that I would see them as two separate identities, almost like the movie and the theater version.
Yeah, it can almost be an organic thing that is it's never finished. They can always add things and take things
Yeah.
away, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think
Tell you what, the ticket prices are far too expensive. It's the most money I've ever spent on a theater ticket in my life, and I'm
Really?
embarrassed. I wouldn't even tell you how much I spent on my ticket because it's embarrassing.
Really, because it's funny when you said earlier on about it. I'm a massive film fan. I'm a cinema fan, but I haven't been to the cinema for ages because I don't think you're getting good value. Because I think the prices of tickets, films at the moment I don't feel are particularly good.
Yeah.
And so it seems to me like cinema is dying because of that, because they seem to be bringing movies out onto VOD a hell of a lot quicker than it used to be. So people aren't bothering going to the cinema. Do you feel that's the kind of thing that might happen with theatre as well? Or do you think, I'm not saying that theatre is going to die, but like with ticket prices, it becomes a more elite thing and not a thing for the people, if you like?
Yeah, it always has been this thing where you have to have money to be able to see it, and it's such a shame. But I think at the minute, and I understand that they're trying to recoup, lost profits because of COVID and all of that, but it seems that there just doesn't seem to be any reasonably priced tickets. And a weekend in London where you maybe could have got to see, maybe 3-4 shows if you had saved up for it, and that was what you're going to do. You're talking 2 at a push, which is massive difference whenever London is not that close for everybody.
No.
The West End is a treat for a lot of people, and being able to see a show, which again maybe is only having a limited run because they're doing a lot of these concerts and these shows which are happening for 6 weeks at a time. So if you don't buy a ticket there and then, you're not going to see it, or you're not going to see that cast that you want to see. So yeah, I think it's difficult. It's difficult to see why they feel the need to raise the prices so much, because they are going to then cut off, the younger generation, especially from being able to access theatre.
Yeah, producers need to be really careful. I think it will tip on them. I don't think it'll end well if it keeps going the way it's going. Like, nobody should have to pay nearly £200 for one ticket to go and see a show. Like, that's just insane.
I mean, that's Rolling Stones prices, isn't it? That's like that's ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that, like, because the Rolling Stones have been around forever and they are the Rolling Stones, that they deserve that over the theatre performers in the West End, the Broadway. And it's not saying that. It's just you go to see the Rolling Stones once, you know, because they're only, well, Rolling Stones is probably a bad example because it seems like they're constantly touring. My dad's a massive Rolling Stones fan, but it just feels like we just need to bring those prices to a more reasonable, you know, value for everybody.
Yeah,
As a music theatre fan, I'm not seeing nearly as much musical theatre that I would have seen.
No.
Because you can't afford to go, you know, and there's loads of musicals out there I'd love to see, but I'm like, I can't afford to go and see them all.
Mm.
I can't afford to go and see one.
Well, we've been very lucky that, well, not very lucky. We went a couple of times to the West End over the last couple of years, basically to see Hamilton. That's what we went and saw. And it's like you say, you sort of think it would be what a lovely treat it would be. But if you're going, I mean, we live 75 miles away from London, so it's a night over. You make a weekend of it, and then before you know it, you've spent £500, and you think, "Oh my God, we was going to go just watch a film, you know, watch a show," and it becomes something that you've got to save up a while for, rather than make it something on the whim. Think, should we go to the theatre tonight? Yeah, let's go to the theatre. It's a very different world we live in, and sometimes it does feel like sometimes they use the whole COVID thing as an excuse just to put the prices up, but. Let's not get into politics, shall we? Goodness me, we will fall out. Well, everybody will fall out with everybody with politics. Anyway, your number 7 then, please.
No Good Deed from the musical Wicked. Music and lyrics by Stephen Schwartz. It was on Broadway in 2003, and probably people are hearing of Wicked because part 1 will be out of the film version. Will be out this November.
That is true.
Cynthia
Erivo
and Dina. No, I was going to say Dina Menzel. That's the original.
It's Ariana Grande, isn't it?
That's it. And Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero, and I've forgotten who's playing the wizard. But
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Stop
anyway.
it, Cynthia.
Is it not a 4-year-old you playing the wizard? How dare they not? How dare they not cast you at that?
Couldn't afford her.
So this is interesting, right? I've seen Wicked. Now, the only thing I can remember about Wicked is Defying Gravity. It's no slight on it. I don't know whether it is because I'd heard so much about this show-stopping song that, and it happens right at the end of the first act, doesn't it, or the first half.
Yep.
I cannot remember anything else about this show, and I'm so sorry to anybody that is involved in it, because obviously they're all listening. So why did you choose this song as opposed to the show-stopping look, you may have Defying Gravity later on in your top 10, I don't know.
But we don't.
Okay, then.
You're right. Defying Gravity is probably the number from Wicked that everybody remembers and talks about, because it would probably, if you were doing a top 10 of the best Act 1 finale numbers, it would probably be number 1 or certainly top 3 for me, because it ends that act beautifully. But I think the most powerful piece in the musical, and certainly the most emotional, is No Good Deed. It's that part, it's in Act 2, where basically Fiyero, who Elphaba has fallen in love with, has fallen on hard times. Let's not say too much, because it will spoil.
Indeed.
The plot for others who maybe haven't seen it yet. Why they haven't seen it, I do not know. But it's a real cry out, and there's one moment where she like sings or belts out his name, Fiyero, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like goosebumps. And she starts the number by casting a spell, and she's like speaking a different language, and there's like Celine Dion like air flying in her face, and the hair's going everywhere, and it's proper. Ooh, it's also that part where you go, Elphaba's turning wicked, you know, because up until then you're like, oh, this isn't the Wicked Witch of the West that we.
That's the name of the musical.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. The penny's just dropped. Oh, God.
Yeah.
And I think with the musical, it is a real nature versus nurture, and it's, you know, and Galinda says that at the beginning, you know, is somebody born bad or is bad, or sorry, somebody born wicked, or is wicked thrust upon them, you know. And this is that section of the musical where you can see things changing, and then that becomes, as Tim says, she begins to become that person that we know from The Wizard of Oz.
And Wicked is going to be thrust upon the general public with 2 parts of a movie. Hey, look at that, see? We don't just throw this all together, you know.
Yeah.
You set them up and I'll knock them down. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to, just because there's 2 movies, isn't it? I think you said.
Yeah.
So do you think that Defying Gravity is going to be the end of the first movie?
We have had discussions about this. We feel like that's going to, where it naturally is probably, and where most people are going to expect it. But now, as the trailers keep coming out, I'm like, are they going to completely turn it on its head? And are we, as musical lovers, going to go, what? Why did they do that?
Right.
You know, I just know.
Yeah, the jury's out for me yet. I don't really know what they've done with it, or what the final product's going to be. I'm a bit nervous about it because it's one of those musicals that you don't want them to mess with. Already am going, why 2 parts, or if it has to be 2 parts, why 2 parts a year?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you the same thing. Is there enough material there for 2 movies?
I'm not so sure there was. Like, maybe they're going to really delve into the background. You know, the way sometimes films do that.
Yeah,
and you get like 3 hours of really in-depth, you know, background of a character, and you're like, really? Did we need that? Like, we get it.
Well, we didn't need it with The Hobbit, that's for sure. They sure strung out every single due drop of story in those 3 movies, and it's going to be interesting. I think that's the thing. It's going to be interesting. Okay.
I can't wait to hear Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba, though. I think she will be unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, the trailers have been great, I must admit. The trailers have been really, really good. So it's kind of, when's the first one? It's November, do you say it's coming out?
Yeah. I think it's at Thanksgiving weekend.
Right.
I think they timed it for that. So.
Right. No, let's wait and see. Okay, my number 7, I'm going for another one of my comedy heroes in Gene Wilder, in Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. I really don't know. And I've said this before on this podcast. I can't remember which top 10 it was. The bit when he comes out of the factory and does that somersault.
Yeah.
I've watched that probably 1,000 times, just physically looking to see how he does that. Because, and I'm going to get really, really geeky now, but the angle that he is flat before he tuck and rolls, it doesn't seem like it's possible that he does it, but it's amazing. But this is a movie. This is one of the earliest movies I can remember where it just was magical, but really scary in places. The boat scene is like, just even now I watch it now and think, God, how do they get away with that? Where it looks like they're cutting a chicken's head off and stuff like that. But the music in this is just beautiful, and Gene Wilder. There hasn't been a better Willy Wonka than Gene Wilder. I thought Timothée Chalamet was great. It was really, really nice as a prequel, if you like.
Yeah.
But Gene Wilder is Willy Wonka as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
What would you say to this one then, guys?
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Yeah. As a film musical, definitely, in my opinion, don't ever go and see it on stage, because it didn't have enough of the Gene Wilder effect. They also, it was very bubblegum. They didn't include the slightly sinister, scary bits, which I think you kind of need.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I just thought, oh, this is all a wee bit twee and a wee bit like, yay, you know.
Yeah, I agree. That was definitely missing. And it doesn't feel, I really feel that that's a love song between him and his factory. The way he sings it, and I certainly didn't get that whenever I watched the musical. But yeah, lovely song. Gene Wilder's just fab.
Oh, he's great. Absolutely great. Okay, then. Your number 6, then, please.
Okay, so this is Me and the Sky, and it is from the musical Come From Away. So it was by Irene Stankoff and David Hine. Is that how you say it? Yeah. So it started in 2017 on Broadway. It's currently on a UK tour, and it is the musical of the planes that had to be diverted to Newfoundland because of 9/11. And it's based on a real story.
Yes.
Real people stories.
So after the September 11th attacks, there was 38 planes that were told that they had to land, and they were closest to Newfoundland town of Gander. So 38 planes arrived with over 7,000 passengers, and Gander was a wee small tiny town, and it was about basically that community gathering round in the aftermath of such an atrocity. It's a really special musical. It's one of those musicals over the last number of years that kind of had a lasting mark, because it's obviously it's about what it's about, which will be emotional and you will remember it, but it's one act, so there's no interval. It just goes through, and everybody is on stage the whole time, and it's just really the storytelling is stunning.
The storytelling of the musical, and the actors on stage, and you are seeing them, move to the music, and the movement, I think, is so emotive as well. Not necessarily just the songs, but this song is sung by the pilot, or one of the pilots of planes, and just about how this thing that she loves has then become like a real hindrance because somebody has used it to cause all this catastrophe in the world. So it is absolutely stunning, out of this world, an amazing song, and one that needs to be listened to.
And the pilot is based on an actual person, obviously, because it's on real life events. So it's Beverly Bass, and when they opened the musical, Beverly was actually in the audience, which I thought really special moment, and has followed the musical really closely. And when it, opened in different places, she always made sure she came. And it's just a special number because she sings about how she was the first female pilot and what that meant, and her career and how it took off, and the hurdles she had to jump over to become a successful in her field. And then, as Lauren says, that one thing that she loved then being used as the bomb, and how that affected her. But it's a real powerhouse of a number. Like Jen Coella, who played the original in the musical, like some voice on her, and once you hear her, it's hard to hear other people do it.
Yeah. We had actress Ruth Bratt, who came and did our top 10 musicals, and this was her number one. I looked, because for our Patreon subscribers, I put a video playlist together of everything that we've spoken about, and there was a performance on YouTube, and I said I will watch it, because she went on about how, like you do, how great it is. So I apologise, Ruth, I never got round to it, so I will watch it, because there's a couple of people in the honourable mentions that have mentioned this musical as well. Just said what a great musical. I was talking to another friend of mine that had seen it, and said it is like heartbreaking, but heart affirming, and it's just one of those musicals that you kind of forget where you are, because it just brings you straight into what you're watching. So I will have to watch it.
Shot of it, and it's on one of the streaming services. I'm pretty sure it is Apple. So you can watch a pro shot of it.
It's really good. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I'll add it to the list. And like I say, I apologise, Ruth, that I never got round to it when I said I'd watch it when you said, but now it's another episode, so we'll do that. Okay, my number 6, I'm going for a right classic. I love Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly is one of my absolute favourite actors, so I had to have something from Singing in the Rain. I'm not going for anything that Gene Kelly sings, so I'm going to go for Make Him Laugh, Donald O'Connor. This is one of my earliest memories, because my mum is a massive sort of 40s and 50s the classics, you know, King and I, Sound of Music, this one. But there was something about Gene Kelly. Being a short person myself, I always thought to myself, here's somebody who doesn't, I mean, he looks like a movie star, obviously, but he was quite short and he was quite stocky. And I thought, that could be me, you know? Obviously it's not. I haven't got the range that he's got. I can't dance like him. But I always thought to myself, he was a kind of like, and he looks like a normal guy. And the way that he danced as well, he didn't have the kind of poise like Fred Astaire, if you like. But he still had this kind of swagger when he danced. So something like Singing in the Rain, I've seen the stage show, and again, it's like you said, Tim, you watch something like Singing in the Rain with Donald O'Connor, with Debbie Reynolds, and nobody can do that after that, you know. And you watch it with somebody else, and you think, okay, that was okay, but it's not Gene Kelly, and it's not Donald O'Connor. This one for me, like I say, is one of my earliest memories, I think. And just remembering how the hell did he do what he did. And I did read something about the fact that he'd done his back in or something. And so they had to put the walls at a slight angle so he'd be able to run up them rather than having them dead straight. But it's such a good song, and it's just so much fun.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those musicals, one of those musical numbers I would love to have a go at. Do you know what I mean? It's so, Lauren's right, I like comedy, so the funnier the better. I think you can get away with a lot if you just crack a joke, right? Yeah. And that number is just amazing from start to finish. It really is.
I agree.
All of the numbers in Singing in the Rain, to be honest with you, but that one in particular is a real gem. Like,
yeah,
I
enjoy.
Okay, we're halfway through. So it's time for this.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Pop quiz, hot shot, indeed. Okay. Now, I feel that I've got 10 questions, okay? So you got 5 each. I'm going to give you some lyrics from a song, from a musical. I need the name of the song, and I need the musical. Okay?
Okay.
Simple.
Okay.
It's just simple. So who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, then. Right, let me make sure I've got my bell, because I know that you're going to be getting all of these right. Now, I'm going to try and say them not in the same phrasing that they're in the song, just to try and confuse you a bit, okay? It's not going to work, because I feel like it's going to be 5-all, okay? And I haven't got a tie break, so... Okay, here's number 1. Daylight. See the dew on the sunflower and a rose that is fading. Roses wither away.
What?
I know it.
And if you don't know it, it will go over to your opponent.
Okay, no,
would you like me to say it again?
No, because I'm deaf.
No idea?
He knows it. I'm like, no, I'm done.
Okay, then, Tim.
Is it Memory from Cats?
It is Memory from Cats. It is. 1 to Tim. And now, Tim, it's your go. But the tigers come at night with the voices soft as thunder.
So it's Les Mis, but I just need to get the... But the tigers come at night with their voices soft as thunder. Is it I Dreamed a Dream?
It is I Dreamed a Dream from Les Mis. Well done. Oh, it'd be 2 points for each, because you obviously get the thing as well. Okay. LJ. With a face like thunder already. Okay, here we go with your second one. We're not just bums with royal mums. We've brains that are quite able.
This is so embarrassing.
We're not just bums with royal mums. We've brains that are quite able.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, can't get it. Can you get it?
Tim?
I recognize it, but I'm struggling to place it. Able.
Yeah, we're both kind of
Something
singing.
that rhymes with able.
Is it Oliver?
It's not Oliver, no.
No.
No?
No.
No, it's Knights of the Round Table, Spamalot.
Of course it is.
Okay, Tim, here's your second one. No one's there when your dreams at night get creepy. No one cares if you grow or if you shrink. Ooh.
Oh,
I know it.
Annie, Hard Knock Life.
It is Annie and a Hard Knock Life. It is. Okay. LJ, this is your third one. The Lord above made man to help his neighbour, no matter where, on land or sea or foam.
Clean sweep here.
Tim, is it time to get a new co-host for the podcast?
I think so.
The thing is, I get the lyrics wrong all the time.
Right, okay.
This is an excuse now, I think.
I know. The Lord, where was it? The Lord above made man to help his neighbour, no matter where, on land or sea or foam.
No.
You're going to kick yourself.
I am going to kick myself. No.
Tim?
With a little bit of luck, with a little bit of luck from My Fair Lady.
It is.
My gut.
It is. Oh, dear. Okay, Tim, here's your third one. Open up. Your mind, let your fantasies unwind in this darkness which you know.
Oh. Open up. Say it again.
Open up. Your mind, let your fantasies unwind in this darkness which you know.
Phantom of the Opera. Which one is it? Is it Music of the Night?
It
is Phantom of the Opera, Music of the Night.
If I would have went second, I would have got these because the ones that are for you, I know.
Do you remember I said at the beginning of the episode, Lauren is the most competitive person?
I know. Do you want to know what the score is at the moment, Tim? The score is, Tim 10, LJ 0. That's what the score is at the moment. Okay, LJ, this is your fourth one. I'd find a pussycat and bash in its head. That's when my mama said...
Is it Dentist?
Yes.
From Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh,
yes! Well done. Well done. Okay, Tim, here's your fourth one. Robin Hood, what a crook, gave away what he took.
You've got to pick a pocket or two, boys, from Oliver.
Is correct.
Another one that I would have got.
Is correct. Okay, LJ is your last one. Can't I make you understand? You're having delusions of grandeur.
It's Wicked.
Oh dear.
Defying Gravity, man!
Yes. Well done. Oh dear. Okay, final one. I don't drink or swear. I don't rat my hair. I get ill from one cigarette.
There are worse things I could do from Greece.
Yay! No.
Actually, one. No, that is from Greece. It's from Greece. For an extra point, LJ, what is it? It is. It's a good job that wasn't. Good job it wasn't on that question because that would have been. But anyway.
I'm so cross with myself.
Well done, Tim. Well done, Tim. It was 12-5 the final score. 12-5.
If I had his questions, I would have won.
Oh, boring.
But you're both still laughing and happy with each other. That's all that matters. So that's
Until
good.
we go off there and then
she's not going to talk to you for a long, long time.
No.
Okay. Back to the job in hand. Your number 5 then, please.
So this is I Am What I Am from La Cage aux Folles. Music and lyrics are by Jerry Herman. So this was on Broadway in 1983 and it won a Tony for Best Musical, Score and Book in 1984.
It opened in the West End on my birth year, 1986. I Am What I Am is the finale number to the first act, and it's performed by the character Albin. It's also had like numerous covers. It's quite a popular track. Gloria Gaynor covered it in 1983, and it's kind of got that title of gay anthem because it's all about, you know, being who you are and, you know, yeah, just being loud and proud and out there and here I am, you know.
Yeah, a certain airline use it as a for the advert now, don't they?
Virgin, yeah. It's great though. It's a very funny musical, but with a really big heart. And it's a class number that just has everybody going out to the bar at the interval, you know, with a big smile on their face, kind of strutting and giving a bit of a shimmy as they go. It's a great.
And I think
number.
it's strategically placed at the end to make you go, wow, you know, because if it did, I think if that song was missing, it would maybe just be seen as a real like fun, you know. But I think that song gives the musical just a little bit of extra heart. And it's a real standalone piece.
It's also how it builds. Like you know, Albin starts the number almost like he's talking to himself. It's almost like conversational. And then as he goes, no, do you know what? I am who I am. Yeah. You know, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it's a big belt at the end. So it builds, it like simmers and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you go out with a bang of glittering confetti and all the rest of it.
Again, as musical experts, what are your opinions and thoughts on the audience singing along to songs in musicals?
No.
Oh, people listening, you need to get on YouTube just to see the look on LJ's face there. That is a mum telling their kid that they've just said something very naughty. If
I went to the theatre and I paid, you know, as ticket prices are now, the guts of £200, and I had Lauren sitting beside me singing in my ear, I wouldn't be impressed.
No. But even if because I mean, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying because it seems to be a thing that there seems to be like news stories where people have been told to leave because they're getting up and dancing and singing along, when it's not a music gig, is it? It's theatre where you're supposed to sit and listen and watch rather than take part.
Yeah, and that's where there really is theatre etiquette, and you have to just understand that and respect it. And it's the same, you know, Tim mentioned it whenever we were discussing Usher's musical, like, you know, sticky sweets or noisy sweets and stuff, and you like, shh. We're here to watch people who have trained very hard and are showing you their talent. Let's listen and watch them and respect them. If you go to a sing-along show, absolutely 100% sing along. That's what it's there for. But let those people do their jobs. You know, you're not going to walk into Tesco's and take somebody off the cashier and go, here, I'll do it for you. Or stand beside them and go, beep, 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 you know. We're not going to do that, so don't do it in this person's place of work.
I choreographed a production of Grease in our regional theatre here, and the poor girl who played Sandy, who just so happens to be LJ's sister, like that, you know, hopelessly devoted to me, like it was really unfair, you know, and, you know, Kiki had worked really hard all the way through rehearsals and was doing different things with it, and it was really lovely. But it was just a karaoke fest, and it was like, come on, like, you know, there's a time and place, I think.
It's weird you say that, because I sing in pubs and clubs, right? So I'm stood in the corner of a little pub, and you will get some, pardon my French, knobhead that will come and stand like literally 6 inches away from you and thinking he's singing with you, and he's singing totally out of tune. And it is so hard to sing, even like in a pub where you're trying to sing and somebody is like singing totally off key. and people, I don't think people realize that. So when you've got like a whole theatre or maybe 5 or 6 people in the theatre trying to do that, it must be a nightmare.
Yeah.
No, not on.
People.
I don't know how you fix it though. Like because we have talked about theatre etiquette a couple of times in on our podcast, and I don't know where the fix is. I think, you know, audiences are different now, and they just don't.
Like you said about Moulin Rouge, they're trying to make you, the audience, as part of the show. So they're thinking, oh, well, I'm part of the show, so I can sing a lot. I can get up and dance and sing along, but it isn't what you go into the theatre for, I don't think.
No, definitely not.
Okay, well, that's your number 5. My number 5, so here we go. I'm going for My Shot by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Hamilton. I don't know how many times I've spoken, A, about Hamilton, B, about Lin-Manuel Miranda. I love that man. You know, you get this, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You get certain people that you are just in their groove, and it doesn't matter what they do. He could fart the national anthem. I would go, that is amazing. That is the most amazing rendition of the national anthem I've ever heard in my life. And every single thing, I came very, very late to. I was one of these millions of people around the world that came to Hamilton during COVID. I had no idea what it was. I thought, I am not a rap or hip hop fan at all. I thought it was about ethnic minorities in America when America started. So I thought that's what it was. I'd seen little snippets and I thought, let's see what this Hamilton's all about then. So I sat there during whatever day of lockdown it was with my arms folded thinking, well, come on, everyone's going on about it. Within 2 minutes, I thought, this is the best thing I've ever fucking seen in my life. Oh my God, this is just... And the fact that it was like this barrage of words to a beat, I thought, I was just mesmerized, and I watched it straight away again straight after that. I cried, I laughed. It was just one of the most exhilarating things I've ever seen in my life. And we went and saw it twice at the West End. As we're recording this, I'm taking my granddaughter to Bristol on Saturday to watch it again.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's for me, it was my number one. It was my number one musical when we did musicals, and it's pretty much something by Lin-Manuel Miranda has been in my top 10 in everything. Whether it's been top 10 conspiracies, top 10 greatest Premier League footballers, Lin-Manuel Miranda somehow has got in there every single, or at least if I haven't put him in there, there's a reference to him somewhere. So he's one of those people. I don't know how he does it. I genuinely don't know how he does it, whether it's Moana, Encanto. I am in floods of tears watching Encanto. And me and my daughter, whose granddaughter, will watch it with us, and she looks like a little baby Mirabelle. She's just so beautiful. And the music will start, and the tears will start welling up in my eyes, and it's like, what is it that this man does that makes me feel like I still don't know? I still always shake my head and think, I don't know what it is he does, but it's something that gets to you. And I don't know, again, for experts like yourself, something like Hamilton, is that something that's too mainstream, or how do you react when it comes to Hamilton?
We haven't touched Hamilton yet on the podcast.
I noticed that. That when I was looking through.
I think it's deliberate because there's so much hype around it. I love it, adore it. But I listened to the cast recording for about 4 years before obviously got to see the pro shot. And then just, continued to watch it. My daughter loves it and did the same thing. I think she watched it 12 times in 1 week, very productive. But anyway, but I think it's so big and still so new for a lot of people, and people have real passion for it, that we've just set it to the side and we will come and talk about it at a stage, just not yet.
Yeah, I was a bit dubious about it, to be honest with you, because you've kind of touched on it. I'm not into rap or that kind of style of music, so I didn't really know where would fit or where it would land for me. I really like it, like I love it, but I also, there's a small part of me that I haven't completely got hooked, and I think it's because I haven't seen it live, and I've so many friends who have seen it and they're like, it's the best thing I've ever seen in a theatre. Like, it's just so clever and so much goes on and it's just wow, that I just need to see it, I think. And I can guarantee you, as soon as I've seen it in a live setting, because in a way the pro shot was too long for me, because you were sitting watching something for a long time, whereas I think I will get carried away with it in a setting where I'll be like, oh my goodness, it's over. Like, no, I have to see it again. I know I will love it, and will rant and rave about it. I appreciate it, and I think that the future of musical theatre is in a safe place with people like Lin-Manuel Miranda about, because I think he will only go on to do even more amazing things. I love his In the Heights as well, another music that he wrote prior to Hamilton.
Right. Yeah,
he's just amazing, but I just need to see it live, I think, to get the full impact of it.
Yeah,
I hope people can come for me.
I think
haven't gone, it's amazing.
It's just I'm like I say, I don't think there's a single rap song or a hip hop song that I could say I like. So it is totally way out of anything that I like, and I think it was the mechanics of it, the fact that they were fitting so many words into phrases, and it was also educational. I thought, oh no, it's about the founding fathers. Okay, right, that kind of makes sense. And the king, and especially when it's the pro shot, as you call it, the fact that he's spitting everywhere. That was the thing I can remember during lockdown, as everyone was going on about, God, this guy just spits everywhere. It's like just drooling out of his mouth. But it's anybody that knows me would have known that I would have had at least one Hamilton song in my top 10. So that's going to be my number 5. Okay.
How did you pick that one out of the others?
Who's to say that that might not be the only Hamilton one I've got in my top 10?
Oh, really?
We'll just leave it for there for now. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, my shot could have been any of the other ones. Absolutely any of the other ones, just fit them in. But I just want to put that one in there. Okay, your number 4, please.
So number 4 nearly caused an argument.
Okay.
We're just going to put it out there because it was the one that we could not decide upon which one. So we stuck to the musical, but we had varying opinions on what number. So the musical is Hairspray. My number 4 was You Can't Stop the Beat, the finale number, but yours was
I Can Hear the Bells.
Okay. Which one are you going for?
As in, Can't Stop the Beat, Can Hear the Bells. I mean, there's
totally different. I
must admit, you until today, You Can't Stop the Beat was my number 10, and I swapped it out for tomorrow.
So what you're saying is we should stick with You Can't Stop the Beat for our number 4 then?
What I'm saying is that I don't want LJ to look at me like she just did then again. So I would go with LJ, because I feel that she's going to come out the screen and grab me and like stove my head in. So you decide, Tim, which one you want to go for.
What is so interesting in our collaborative social media post, one of our friends commented and said, I can't stop the beat. And I was like, that is a really interesting choice.
I saw that.
Too. Because obviously I go with I Can Hear the Bells. For me, I Can Hear the Bells. Tracy isn't necessarily my favorite character. I think Penny is a much better character. But I just love that pure, I think it's like that schoolgirl, like crush sort of, I'm in love with this boy and the world has changed because, I fancy him and he looked at me and we're going to get married. So I love the story of that song, how she literally goes from stage 1 to they're getting married. And I just think it's great. Don't get me wrong, I Can't Stop the Beat, but just for me, I Can't Hear the Bells, or I Can Hear the Bells. Sorry, just fix it.
Whereas I was really lucky to see Hairspray in Broadway. We went on a family holiday one year, and we didn't know what we were going to see. We literally read book a show at that point. It was brand spanking new. This is 2002, and we went to see it. And I remember You Can't Stop the Beat, that last number, and leaving the theater, and we had just seen something completely new, and we couldn't stop singing You Can't Stop the Beat. It was instantly memorable. Do you know what I mean? And we were on a high. It was contagiously elating for like a finale number. But apparently the cast have nicknamed it You Can't Stop to Breathe, because it's just so energetic, and they sing and they dance from start to finish in it, and I think they struggle to breathe. But Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman wrote an absolute belter of a musical. Like all the musical numbers in Hairspray are class, and it is a good movie adaptation too. I really liked it.
It was really good. That was with John Travolta, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was really good. I think that was where I saw it the first time, and it was. What's the first song? Is it sort of Good Evening Baltimore or Good Morning Baltimore?
Morning.
Great tune to start off with as well. It's such a good musical. But I've put I Can Hear the Bells on the list, but obviously it's a two-way, isn't it? It's a two-way thing. I'll tell you what I will do, Tim. For our Patreon subscribers, I will put You Can't Stop the Beat on the playlist as well, okay?
Oh, thank you.
I'll put that on there for you, just so that it's there. Okay, my number 4. Now, this is the one where it's... I've never seen the musical, but this song is in my DNA. So I've gone for Carousel, and it is You'll Never Walk Alone. Now, I didn't realise until a long time that this was part of this musical, because I'm a Liverpool FC fan, and especially as we're recording this over the last couple of weeks, it's been a very emotional time because our boss has left. So I was sat where it was last Sunday or the Sunday before, in my living room, watching everybody singing You'll Never Walk Alone with tears in my eyes, because it was the end of an era. So I felt, again, I haven't seen Carousel. I asked you what it was all about. I have no idea, but I had to put this in because this song means just so much to me. So I had to put it in there because it is one of the songs of my life, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. And I'm gonna have to turn it down because I'll get emotional if I hear it. I've stood on the cop and sung that with, especially in the cop where the old days when you were standing there and it was like 13,000 men stood around you singing it at the top of their voices. And I don't think there hasn't been a gig I've been to that tops that kind of emotion, raw emotion, where there's a group of people all stood there for the same thing to, celebrate your team or whatever you want to call it. And every time, if my team are live on and they play that, you cannot but get the hairs on the back of the neck stand on end and tears in your eyes. And I'm such a wuss. I really am.
But isn't that amazing that is a musical theatre song?
Absolutely. It
like,
is.
Such emotion.
And I think that's as well, people some who don't get musicals, and there are people there that just don't understand it. Like, they just sing all the time. But I think that's it. There's a different musical for every emotion. There's a different musical for what period of your life you're at, stage of your life. And I think it's just really interesting that everything that you're describing there from a song that came from a musical, well, you never know. And another musical that you watch might evoke those same sort of emotions, and you might fall in love with that,
Exactly. Well, the fact that song has its piece in the story of Carousel, so it's got its own reason to be there. But Liverpool, I think Celtic use it as well. I think, don't they? Don't they sing it as well? Maybe, I don't know. But they've lifted it and used it as an anthem for something completely different, and it's got its own emotion sort of tied to it. But in Carousel, it's got its own specific reason for being there, and it was written to move the story along and for a specific character. So I should watch Carousel because then I won't, because I'll just cry through it. That's not the right thing to do. It's just not. But anyway, yeah, that's my number 4. Your number 3, then, please.
So number 3 is where Lauren broke the rules.
Right.
Do you want to
Explain.
tell the jury your reasoning for breaking the rules?
Yes, so we did have the no Disney. So our number 3 is a song called They Live in You, but if it's reprised, it's called He Lives in You. So it has 2 different titles. It's from The Lion King, but this song is only on in the musical theater version. It's not on Disney film. So I thought it was okay.
Well, see, now I'm going to pull you up on this, because isn't it in The Lion King 2?
Yes.
It is. But I was hoping that you did that.
I absolutely love this, so I'm going to let you have it. I mean, I'm not going to not let you have it, but it was because I noticed on the chat and you said that it's not, and I thought, I wonder if it's He Lives in You, because I'm going to pull her up on that and say, actually, as a nerd, I'm going to tell you that it's actually in Lion King 2, actually, if you don't even...
Not very many people know that, so I just kind of...
That's fair enough. Shall I just cut all this bit out so it makes it look right? I don't mind, but it is yeah, so good.
This number makes me bawl like a baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it stomps. It's really...
Me too. And I find it so emotional. I also find a connection to this song to... It could almost pass as a Christian worship song in some way. And I think it's just all about that, like having faith and thinking about those people that have gone before you. But yeah, really emotive song for me too.
And the staging of it in the stage production, like you kind of see it's basically Simba, and it's all about his father Mufasa, who's no longer with him, but you see Mufasa like appear in the back cloth of it's just like, wow, it's like, oh, he's here. Yeah.
Where we're going to see Hamilton on Saturday, which is in Bristol, which again is about 30 miles from where I live, we went and saw The Lion King, the touring production last year, I think it was. And as you can probably tell, I can get very emotional very easily. And when that song come on, I was kind of like, I was on the end, I think I was on the end seat of a row, and I was making sure that I was kind of turned away from everybody, because I knew that, especially when you have the live music and the bass is just pounding in your heart, isn't it? And it just, there's something about that song. And again, once you, if anybody, and I think I've said this before, if nobody's watched The Lion King live, go and see it, because just seeing the animals is enough to take your breath away, like especially at the start.
I cried right from the beginning, like that circle of life when the animals appeared. And then it's really funny. I'm a primary school teacher by trade, and one year we did The Lion King as our school production, and it had exactly the same like impact. So like when the kids did Circle of Life, all the teachers started to cry.
Yeah,
like,
I bet.
One of them without exception. And I was like, isn't it really bizarre? Like, because it's like the Circle of Life isn't an emotional song, but something, the context of it or the way it's staged or something, it's just like, oh, this is really like quite sad, or not sad, but like it's happy tears or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It's also that final doom at the end when everything goes down. You think, oh my god, and you think, yeah, it's so good. Watch it if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, I should say. It's so good. But we'll allow that. We'll allow that. There you go. Okay, my number 3. I'm going to go for Grease. And again, could have chosen any song from Grease, but I'm going to go for one of my first ever loves. There was Carrie Fisher, Farrah Fawcett Majors, and Olivia Newton-John. They were my 3. So Hopelessly Devoted to You is the song I'm going to go for. Again, it could have been any song from this, because I absolutely love Grease. My mum took me, so this was 1978, so I would have been 9 when Grease came to the cinema. And mum and my auntie, we went and saw Grease while my dad went to the next screen and watched The Hills Have Eyes. So I'm glad that they didn't get me in the wrong screen there, because that could have just completely ruined me for the rest of my life. But I meet people that are very, very snobby about Grease, but I don't understand why. Because for me, as a movie, I saw it with Craig McLachlan and Debbie Gibson in London, and I'm just blown away. It's just got so many great songs. There are songs in the movie that that wasn't originally in the musical, but it's just such a great musical. It's just one of the greatest. I think it was number 2 or 3 in my top 10 of musicals, but
it's certainly a good night out at the theatre, isn't it? I don't know of any audience that doesn't go to Grease and like behave sensibly.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's great. It's up on your feet, dancing, singing along.
So
yeah.
good, so good.
Yeah.
When we went, we weren't planning on going, myself and my wife. It was a Saturday afternoon. We went to the theatre and we said, have you got any tickets available for Grease? And they said, well, the production's just about to start. If you come with us, it was like £25 each or something. Just follow us. So we're following them, and we can hear the band sort of striking up. We go running up, we open it, and we're in the Royal Box.
Oh, wow.
So of course, we walk into we're in front of the orchestra. We're in front of the band. And so as we sit down, everybody in the crowd all of a sudden is looking up at us thinking that someone famous has got there. And as you've seen, it starts off with Danny and Sandy in like the wings. And I was literally, I don't know, 6 feet away from Debbie Gibson. And I thought, this is like this. How you couldn't plan this? If I'd have booked the tickets the day they came out, I wouldn't have got these. So it was like, it just totally, cemented my love for the musical. It's just such a good musical.
Yeah. Lovely.
Okay, your number 2 then, please.
So our number 2 is from a musical called Rent.
Okay.
And it's the song I'll Cover You, the reprise. So I'll Cover You occurs in Act 1 when 2 of the characters, Collins and Angel, meet each other for the first time. The 2 of them then fall in love. And then in Act 2, Angel dies from HIV. And Colin, his partner, is basically singing. It's like a reprise of that song, but it's kind of taken a totally different. It's no longer a up tempo bubbly number that it is in Act 1. It's a somber, really heart, like it rips your heart out, throws it on the floor, and you stamp on it several times. But it is just a wow moment, and it takes a really strong, proper, good voice to belt it out. But it is just like wow. And if you're not, I'm one of these people that like to cry at musicals. Like I love it, cry. And if you don't have buckets full of tears by the end of this number, there's literally something wrong with you. Like it is sensational. It's a musical by Jonathan Larson, and what's really sad is that Jonathan wrote this musical, and it was a real project that stretched out for many years. He just wasn't getting it finished. He wasn't getting the producers on board. And finally, the show was about to open. On an opening night, Jonathan Larson actually passed away. So he never saw the opening of his show. And it went on to be a massive success. And it's one of those musicals that has a bit of a following now. You've got the fans of the show. They're called Rent Heads, And it is a really fantastic show that follows a group of bohemians basically living, in New York. And it's just amazing. But that song in particular is a moment that I certainly remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. And also the musical seems to like start a load of people's careers, like Indina Menzel was in it, and like just there's loads of people that will always do a production of Rent, because you can sort of get away doing it whenever you're that teenage, like early 20s. That's the age the characters are set. But it's a close-knit cast, and it's just, there's something magical about it. It does touch on some really hard-hitting issues. But I think just that background story of Jonathan as well just kind of makes it go, oh, you kind of want it to succeed as well for him. And if you love Lin-Manuel Miranda, then he directed the Tick Tick Boom
with Andrew Garfield.
So that's
Such a good movie. Is that who it's about?
That's
Jonathan before he wrote Rent.
Right, yeah, because the whole story, that movie is all about. I think isn't it the musical before he did Rent, wasn't it?
Yeah,
which wasn't a success. Oh, that is so good. Yeah.
Towards the end of Tick Tick Boom, you actually hear him playing wee bits of Rent on the keyboard, and that's what he's playing. It's the beginning stages of some of those songs that then appeared in Rent.
Right.
And
yeah.
there's also a meeting where he has a meeting with Sondheim in it, and also at the very end there is a voice message from Sondheim, and that's actually his voice message. So it's kind of nice for kind of a little bit full circle there from the beginning to now.
I must remember to put Tick Tick Boom, and I'll put the trailer of that on there as well if anybody's ever seen it, because that is a good movie as well. Awesome. Okay, my number 2. This one sort of goes hand in hand with me with Hamilton. It's a movie musical, but it's another one that for some reason, I still don't know why, always made me cry, and it's The Greatest Showman. Now I'm going for From Now On, which is the last song, I think it is, before the finale. I still don't know. It's a very cheesy movie. It's not very historically accurate in regards to P.T. Barnum, but there's something about this song, and there's something about this musical that as soon as it starts, I tend to tears well up in my eyes, and I still don't know. I've said it a million times on this podcast, because another one, The Greatest Showman, is another one that comes up loads of times, and I do not know what it does to me. I don't know why I feel like this, because again, I don't think it's a great movie, but the music in it, there's just something about it. It's got that stardust for me. Now, I don't know what you guys think of The Greatest Showman, because again, it started off very, very slowly in the box office, and then just became this juggernaut that just like made all the money, and then it just became this big massive thing, a little bit like Hamilton, I think. So as experts, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think from me, I think you're right. The songs make it. It's Ben,
I'll tell you exactly who it is. It is Ben Paskey and Justin Paul.
Yeah, and I think they are a bit like Lin-Manuel Miranda, like the future of musical theatre is okay, because they will be there somewhere. They've done Dear Evan Hansen and big musicals like that, and I think more will come from them. There is actually a musical of Barnum called Barnum.
That's right. Michael Crawford starred in it, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. So I think maybe if they were to take the storytelling and the plot of that with The Greatest Showman songs, it would be a good recipe. I think you're right. The storyline was a bit. It didn't really matter because the songs were so. You were waiting for the next hit song.
I think they just shouldn't have made it about P.T. Barnum. They should have made it about some circus guy, because none of it was real. None of it was accurate. So. Just have it.
A bit disappointing then, because then you're like, oh, this was all made up. Except the person was real, so it didn't really make sense. I think, unfortunately, for me, the songs are overplayed. So any GB display or little kids shows or school performances, there's always a Greatest Showman number in there somewhere, and as wonderful as they are, I'm like, not again.
I'm feeling about Annie. That's exactly how I feel about Annie. Not again.
I think that's, and unfortunately, because the songs are so good and the rest of the world kind of got gripped, kind of got their hands on it, it was like out there and everybody knows it. While if it maybe had been just kept for musical theatre and then drip fed, sort of, then maybe it wouldn't grate on me as much.
It still amazes me that some producers somewhere haven't already put it on the stage yet. Because as soon as I saw it in the in the movies, I was like, this will make it onto stage.
Yes,
and I can't. It still hasn't happened.
Yeah, I was. It's one of those. I feel the same as something like Encanto. That is made to be on stage. So I don't understand. I'm the same as you. I feel like it's almost. I don't know. Is there a time when it's too long for it to be able to come on stage? I don't think it is it?
I don't know, because I remember, I don't know if you ever saw, there was like a TV series called Smash, and it was about basically the inner workings of the musical theatre industry in Broadway and making of a Marilyn Monroe musical and about
right.
Marilyn and then getting it onto Broadway. And all of a sudden, that was like a good, 10, 15 years ago?
Longer, we were teenagers.
Yeah, longer. And it's now finally being made into a musical. We're back then going, why are they not making this as a show? Like it's there, ready to go.
Wow.
Yes. So never say never, I suppose. It can still happen.
Yeah. Okay, before we reveal our number ones, if you want to do a countdown from 10 to 2, I'll do the same. Whether you want to do one each, get to number 2, I'll do the same, and then we'll reveal our number ones.
Okay. So, number 10, If I Loved You from Carousel.
Number 9, Being Alive from Company.
Number 8, Cell Block Tango from Chicago.
Number 7, No Good Deed from Wicked.
Number 6, Me and the Sky, Come From Away.
Number 5, I Am What I Am from La Cage aux Folles.
Number 4, I Can't Stop the Beat / I Can Hear the Bell from Hairspray.
Number 3, He Lives in You from The Lion King.
Number 2, I'll Cover You Reprise from Rent.
Lovely. And mine is, don't say number 1 yet. Let me do my first. I mean, you've been breaking rules all night. I mean, it don't matter. My number 10 was Tomorrow from Annie. 9, Dentist, Little Shop of Horrors. 8, Your Song, Moulin Rouge. 7, Pure Imagination, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. 6, Make 'Em Laugh, Singing in the Rain. 5, My Shot, Hamilton. 4, You'll Never Walk Alone, Carousel. 3, Hopelessly Devoted to You, Grease. And number 2, From Now On, The Greatest Showman. So Tim and LJ, what is your number 1 song from musicals?
Our number 1 is
Gethsemane from Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay. And why?
It's we've done quite well to get through a top 10 and not mention an Andrew Lloyd Webber number yet. So we thought it was time.
Yeah.
And it is the best song he's ever written, in our opinion.
Yeah.
It's from Jesus Christ Superstar, which obviously, follows the story of what happened, for anybody who believes. But it's just an unbelievable song for an unbelievable singer. And you have to be an unbelievable singer to sing this song. At times he's almost like screaming, and there's a he holds like the note of all right, I'll die, and he holds it and holds it and holds it and holds it, and it's a rock musical, which I think helps because we like that kind of music. And the orchestra and the band are rocking underneath as he's holding this big, long, extended number or note, and your jaw is open, going, wow.
It's just fantastic. And not exactly the same, but there's some parallels between it and No Good Deed, where she is sort of going like, I'm about to turn wicked. And for Gethsemane, it's him really, it's him in the garden questioning, like, why should I die? Why have you brought me here? Like, now you're going to leave me, all of this. And it's that sort of crying out in pain. And yeah, if it's done right by an amazing singer, that performance will 1000% have goosebumps. Your hairs will be standing on top of hairs. Everything will you will just feel alive, I think, and just sit in silence. There'll be no singing along, and you'll just watch in awe.
Well, you couldn't sing along. That's the thing. Right? Good luck to you trying to sing along to Gethsemane.
That's the key to not getting anyone singing along, is to make sure that it's a performance that nobody physically can sing along to anyway.
Yeah.
Great number 1. And I'm surprised. I must admit, I thought you would have some more Andrew Lloyd Webber, but he's number 1. I mean, he can't complain, can he?
No.
Sir Andrew, I'm sure you're listening and you'll be happy. Okay, so that's your number 1. So I feel that we're not going to have any the same in regards to Lisa's challenge, but there you go. that's how it goes. I'm going to go with another one from Hamilton. This song, I think, has been in my top 10 songs that make you cry. It was a song that I played when we did top 10 musicals. I'm going for It's Quiet Uptown. This genuinely, I won't be able to play much of this because I will cry. I don't think there's a song that I've heard that makes me feel the way this song makes me feel. I'm going to turn it down. I think it's the first time we went and saw it live was just after COVID had finished and everyone was sort of slowing, and everyone had to wear masks. And I've never happily worn a mask so much, in the fact that it stopped people seeing me genuinely lose control. I mean, I every time I see it on the Disney Plus version, I cry. But when you're seeing it and you're in the room where it happens, hey, I'll give myself a ding for that one. Just the power of it just overtook me, and I was like behind this mask sobbing. And then when we saw it the second time, I didn't have a mask to hide behind, unfortunately. And I just become a mess. But I've said enough about Hamilton, and I promise listeners, I won't do a top 10 with Hamilton or any of his songs again. I promise. Until we do the top 10 Lin-Manuel Miranda moments, maybe.
Obviously. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, the thing is, he's written some amazing songs, and Hamilton is a fantastic musical. So I think credit where credit is due. Like, and Quiet Uptown, again, probably not one that everybody would put up there as number one. You know, for some, The Room Where It Happened is, Dear Theodosia, but I mean, I think it's, if you've seen it and you see sort of what happens just at the end, where she like does reach for his hand, it's
that forgiveness moment. Is, oh my God, it's the bit. The way that Lin-Manuel Miranda plays that, in all the times we've seen it with someone else, they don't play it quite the same that he does. That he sort of breaks down quietly, breaks down when she takes. I'm gonna go. I wasn't expecting this. Oh God, but anyway. Let's not talk about Hamilton and Lin-Manuel Miranda again. We've nearly finished. Let's get through it. Come on, Jesus Christ!
He is
Superstar,
isn't he? Like, I think it's a really hard job for the way the two sisters. They both have amazing songs and their own storyline, where you don't feel one's like a supporting role compared to the other. And I think that shows real class, that he was able to write for two really leading female characters, and both of them have just as much meat to their part and to their songs, and they're both as successful a song as the other. Do you know what I mean? You don't see that in musical theatre. You have your leading lady and your supporting actress, but yet he was able to write. And it's the same for Burr and Hamilton. Do you know, he just has so many good songs that they all have their equal billing as such, and all of their songs are just as good as their counterparts.
Yeah. I could talk about it for hours, but we won't, because like I say, I want to let you go so we can finish. Anyway, we got some honorable mentions. So Stu Grant has said, Time Warp, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Everybody Needs Somebody, The Blues Brothers, This Is Me, Greatest Showman, Shake a Tail Feather, Blues Brothers, Sweet Home Chicago, Blues Brothers, hell, the entire Blues Brothers soundtrack. Maria Pereira says Hamilton, Yorktown, and One Last Time. The original cast performance of One Last Time at the White House makes me tear up every time. In the Heights, now I'm terrible at pronouncing, Pacienta y Fe, does that sound right?
Yes.
Oh, lovely. Chicago, We Both Reach for the Gun. And The Producers, Keep It Gay. The Producers was another one that I should have put something on there. Fran Ockwell says Anything from Oliver. Mary Jane Sims, Defying Gravity from Wicked. Trudy Reed, Somewhere from West Side Story. Kate Lydiard, Good Morning Baltimore from Hairspray. Carol Barwick, I love Movie in My Mind from Miss Saigon, but came down the aisle to Come What May from Moulin Rouge, so this has to be my absolute favourite. Dan Harper, Totally Fucked. I'm assuming that's from a movie, that's from a musical, and he's not just...
yes.
He's not just saying that, I hope. One Night in Bangkok, which I think was from Chess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain, my personal favourite. Sweet Transvestite from Rocky Horror Picture Show. It doesn't get much more fun than that. Chris Waylenga, No One Is Alone and Children Will Listen from Into the Woods. Not the movie, she says. American Idiot, Falling Slowly from Once.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Okay, good. Corey Ogilvie also has Totally Fucked from Spring Awakening, The Bitches Living, Spring Awakening, Lily's Eyes, The Secret Garden, Whatever Lola Wants from Damn Yankees, Defying Gravity from Wicked, Bring On the Men, Jekyll and Hyde, This Is the Moment, Jekyll and Hyde, Anthem from Chess. Please consider the Anthony Warlow version, So Magical. Someone Else's Story from Chess. The Creation of Man, The Scarlet Pimpernel. You'll Be Back, Hamilton. And One Day More, Les Mis. And she says, yes, I am a musical fan, a musical theatre fan. Hard to choose one. At Ricky Orr, You Can't Stop the Beat, Hairspray. Another one for you.
Yeah.
Corinne Pastor, I absolutely love Phantom of the Opera from Phantom of the Opera, Sweet Transvestite from Rocky Horror, and anything from Six. And Karen Clark, Phantom of the Opera, Bring Him Home, Les Mis, Children of Egypt, Joseph, and then at theatre_people_NI, Dear Theodosia. There we go. We've done it. That was more emotional than I thought it was going to be, guys. I'm sorry about that. I apologise. So just to let everybody know, I will put the link in the show notes for your wonderful podcast, and I'm looking forward to listening to some more episodes, and I cannot wait for the Hamilton episode. I really can. What other things you got going on? You want to tell? Have you got a website or anything like that you want to tell everybody about?
We're just all over the socials. So we were just at our really easy title, Musical Lyrical Lingo, on Instagram and on TikTok. We do have a merch site if anybody wants to mispronounce lyrics like I do and walk about with the t-shirt. But yeah, you can catch us on the socials and
YouTube.
And on YouTube. Yeah.
Wonderful. And again, for us, if you want to look on the show notes, you can get all the info for YouTube channel, a Patreon where you can come and be a guest on the podcast if you want, and some nice little other rewards and all the other bits and bobs and MacGuffins and jingy bongy boobies. It's all there. I don't need to tell you about it. Just click the link, guys. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
It's been a blast.
And hopefully you'll come back and do another one, and we'll sort out something. Maybe not musicals. Maybe do something else. Do something a bit more fun. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening. And let's go start the countdown. I need to go get a Kleenex to dry my eyes.